We are live.
Good morning. Good morning. Nashville, Tennessee. Today we have boxer, amateur boxer, and bare knuckle fighting championship fighter.
Actually, no, I didn't fight for BKFC. I was a bare knuckle fighter. I was one of the pioneers that got it legalized along with Bobby Gunn and David Feldman. So I was a bare knuckle fighter when it was illegal. And everybody always asked me, they said, Joe, your dad is a lieutenant detective on the police department. What does he think about this? And he told me, if you don't get caught, it don't count.
Hey, Joe Mack, is that your flower we're looking at? Are you, is that you in the bush right there?
I wish it was. That's just my wife's plants she's got here in our dining room here. I was going to do this from my office, but I'm doing some remodeling in there, so we can't do it in there right now.
Oh, okay. I thought you were on a mission. I thought you were on a mission hunting.
Hey, man, I wish. We're trying to pass it here in Tennessee. You know, as a kid growing up, as a father, and before we get started, Rob, let me just say this, man. Much thanks to you, brother, for your service, for dedicating and volunteering your time to serve our country. Love it. Love what you're doing with this podcast that you've got, raising awareness for the issue that we have, and it's a really bad issue. It's a terrible issue. It's a tragedy that our veterans are living on the streets. Our veterans are committing suicide at 22 per day, a rate of 22 per day. That's a staggering number. And veterans commit suicide 50% more time than those that didn't serve. So what you're doing, Rob, I'm all about it, and I'm down with it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Shaggy Gonzalez, he just said, hey, good morning, fellas. Hey, thanks, Chris, for tuning in. And yeah, we appreciate what you're saying, Joe Mack.
Shaggy's one of my fighters.
Huh?
Chris Gonzalez is one of my fighters, brother.
Oh, he's one of your fighters. Oh,
brother. Yeah, we're headed to Palm Springs, California on the 23rd of February this month to go fight on a Oscar De La Hoya promoted Golden Boy card. And they're bringing us in to be the opponent. And I got news for them. They messed up because Chris Gonzalez is coming in there to send a message to everybody. He's going to go in there and bust this kid up.
You said Oscar De La Cruz?
No. Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya, baby, the Golden Boy, the 1992 Olympic gold medal winner. The guy that made he brought women to the sport. Because my wife became a fan of it. She was a fan of Mike Tyson before I met her. But De La Hoya brought a lot of women into the sport. And De La Hoya was transcended the sport because he's a guy that he's like one of the last. That's why they call him the Golden Boy. Because in '92, that was like one of the last hurrahs for our Olympic boxing team. We really haven't had much success, a little bit, but nothing like we had in the 70s and 80s when we dominated the sport. But yeah, Chris Gonzalez, we're going out there and the promoter is Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy Promotions, and we're going to be in Palm Springs, California. And we're fighting a guy that's he's young. He's 19 years old, but he's a national champion from Mexico, amateur. And so they're bringing us in to be the opponent, and I'm well aware of that, and so is Chris. But I got news for him. Chris is a 32-year-old grown-ass man, and he's supposed to go in there and put something on this young man he didn't see in amateurs.
So Chris got the hands, huh?
He's got the heart, he's got the spirit, he's got the desire, and I picked him up off a loss. Here's how I picked him up. I took a fighter that I work with occasionally, and he had a fight against Chris Gonzalez. And when I worked his corner, I told him, I said, man, you got to go to the body. Well, right away in the first round, this is about 4 months ago, in the very first round, the guy that we were fighting, Chris Gonzalez, okay? He dropped my fighter with a big shot, dropped him, boom. And when Chris got up, Chris wasn't my fighter at this time. He was still staggering on his feet a little bit. I'm sorry. That's incorrect. Chris's opponent, Chris dropped him. He gets up, and he's staggering on his feet. The referee lets it go. And Chris let him off the hook. He didn't go in there for the kill. And my fighter ended up turning him into the corner and went to the body. and knocked him out with a body shot in the first round after getting dropped. So Chris reached out to me after that fight, and he was like, "Hey, man, can you work with me and teach me how to do that?" And I was like, "Dude, Chris, you've got the spirit." He trains on his own. He's so mentally focused and determined to do this that I usually only deal with fighters that are like world champion caliber. All right, like Tony Lopez, that was the BYB heavyweight champion. Like Shannon Rich, 8-time MMA world champion, U.S. Army vet, and one of my very good friends, Vic Starita, who is a cut man. He was a Marine. My good friend down in Florida, Jay Craig, he was very rarely you ever hear this. He was the Coast Guard. Nobody ever knows anybody in the Coast Guard. And I have guys in the Army and stuff. But so when Chris Shaggy came to me and I got to know him on a personal level, I was like, this kid's got so much spirit and he wants to do it. So yeah, I was working with a guy before that. I'm not even going to mention his name because the way he disgraced the sport, BYB, and me by the way he behaved because he chickened out of a fight. But he was what I call a reluctant warrior. He had all the tools, skilled athlete. What an incredible physique. This kid was beautiful, good looking, skilled fighter, but no heart. And he was a reluctant warrior. I think a lot of these guys get into combat sports because everybody tells them they should be doing it. Then they get into it and they realize this really isn't for me, but everybody says I'm so, and they start getting success. And so they say, I've got some success now and I'm really kind of good at, I really don't like it, but I call them reluctant warriors. And this guy was a reluctant warrior. I usually don't deal with guys like that. He didn't reveal himself to me until I got him a title fight. When I got him that title fight is when he revealed himself to me. However, moving forward, this sport that we're involved in, that I'm involved in, is bare knuckle and pro boxing. It's crazy, man. It's insane. You got to have a screw loose. That's why they call me Psycho Joe, your favorite mental patient, because you got to be a little crazy to fight bare knuckle, and you got and you got to be a little bit crazy to be willing to man up and go through that basic training and become a warrior for America, and become a soldier, become a sailor, become an airman, to become a Coast Guard, whatever they call those guys, I'm not sure, or to become a Marine. All of that stuff requires courage. It requires dedication, determination, and desire. And that's what me and my team, my team and I, we're all about that. We're all about that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You're training the greats and you're fighting the greats. That's what it's about right there.
Well, just like our military brothers and sisters, man, we're fighting a force all the time that's wanting to take America down, that's wanting to change the way the world is run, and it's a never-ending battle. Even though we're not at war right now. Even though something big looks like it's looming, and I really don't even want that. But sometimes in this life, we got to fight.
Yeah. Well, Chris Shaggy Gonzalez, he just said, going to Cali, put hands on somebody's son.
That's right. Yes.
Hey, Chris.
You got to get Shannon Rich. Shannon, my good friend, my brother from another mother, my bare knuckle brother. You got to get Shannon the Cannon Rich on this podcast. He's the 8-time MMA world champion. He has more fights than any living human being in the world right now. He and Dan Severn have more fights, more wins, more fights in MMA than any fighter in the world. Shannon's not only an MMA fighter, but he's also a bare knuckle fighter. He's 26-3 in bare knuckle fighting. So we're wanting to get him involved. He's ready to go. The guy doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs. He's 52 years old, and he's still a badass, man.
See if he wants to get on the podcast. Bring him on.
I'll set it up for you. I'm going to make a note of that right here, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. Since you know him and stuff, yeah, this way we can.
He's my brother, man. You'll love him because he's like me. He's gregarious, and he knows how to carry a conversation, and there's no dead air with him, man. He's got so much to say. Plus, he did 2 tours of duty in the Middle East.
Oh, he deployed. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Bless him. God bless him for doing what he did.
You bet.
Yeah. So your dad is he was a Korean veteran. Is this right?
Yes, sir. He was in the Navy, and it's kind of a funny story. My dad was born in 1936. All right. So my dad's going to be 87 March 4th. Still the toughest guy I ever knew in my whole life. He goes out 3 nights a week singing karaoke. He's 87. I hope I have that much in me when I'm 87. But he joined the Navy. Basically, he was starving to death, man. He was poor. His father and his mother were both professional musicians. My grandfather played the trumpet, played in the band, had an orchestra, Red McEwen's orchestra. He played for Al Capone at the Flamingo Club in Chicago, but he was an alcoholic and a notorious gambler. And so anytime they ever acquired any kind of wealth, whether it be a house to live in or a refrigerator, it all got lost because he was a degenerate gambler. So that made my father very focused in life. When you're raised up by a couple of alcoholics, because my grandmother played the piano for the silent movies. A lot of people don't realize when you go to a silent movie and when they play them now, you hear the piano playing, but they didn't have any sound on those movies. So the piano player was behind the curtain, behind the screen, and playing the music. And my grandmother did that. And unfortunately for her, notorious alcoholic, pill popper, got dementia. But you know what? She never forgot, Rob, how to play that piano. She was in a retirement center, a nursing home, whatever you want to call it. And she'd go down and play that organ and just play it beautifully. She thought I was the doctor. She thought I was my dad, and she thought my dad was the doctor, and she hated her doctor. So it became really difficult. But with my grandparents being professional musicians, my father made him very, very focused about having a career, not being an alcoholic, not gambling and all that stuff. So my dad became a police officer. Then he became Nashville's Dirty Harry. If you want to have some fun, and anybody listening, all you got to do is Google Nashville's Dirty Harry, and you'll see a really cool a really cool expose they did on my father in 2020 on the 50th anniversary of him getting shot 5 times by 2 thugs with a .38. And he survived and lived to tell it and got in a couple more gunshots, had to kill a couple of people. That's why they call him Nashville's Dirty Harry. So I come from that guy. But he was in the Navy, and he wrote, and my parents divorced when I was 10 years old. This is after my father married her the second time, because they got divorced before they ever had kids. And then my mother tracked him down in Louisville, Kentucky. That's how I ended up born in Louisville when my parents are from Nashville. So my dad, when he was in the Navy, he went in and he was very excited about it. He sent my mother a letter every single day. And my mother kept them in this big wooden box. She had it painted red with gold lettering. It said love letter straight from his heart. And she let me read it when I got grown, when I was an adult. She let me read it. And oh my God, Rob, talk about giving me some insight into my pop. It was amazing to hear the letters as they started out. How he was so enthusiastic and fired up about it. He's becoming an old salt. About halfway through, he hated it. Couldn't stop being seasick. He ended up getting a job as a supply sergeant down in the hull of the boat, so the rolling didn't affect him much. And he could ride any ride at the fair. He was like, I was blown away. I couldn't believe I was seasick. And the letters as he went through, when he finally got out, he was so relieved. But while he was in there, because my father was a state champion golfer at Father Ryan, and he ended up winning the amphibious, which is the Navy and the Marine Corps. He ended up winning the amphibious tournament while he was in Virginia. And he told me, he said, Joe, I hadn't picked a golf club up in a year and a half. And he goes, and I picked that thing up and went out there and won that whole tournament. Did I lose you? Hello? Damn, Rob, I think I lost you, brother. I think your phone's freezing up, my man. I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, I got you back now because you froze up on me.
Yeah, that's amazing right there. Yeah, man. Are you got a good swing too? Are you golfing now or what?
You know what? That's the thing. I didn't find out that my dad was a golfer until he was married to his 4th wife, Carol, my stepmother. And as we were moving, I found all this stuff in the attic. My father was not only a golfer, but he was a race car driver. He was a drag strip driver. And so I found all these trophies and everything. And so that's what introduced me to my dad being a golfer, because I didn't know anything about it. Because my parents divorced, my biological parents divorced when I was 10 years old. So, you know, I was just a kid. I was boxing in amateurs, and I really wasn't concerned with everything that was going on. I just knew that I wanted to be with my dad, whatever happened. And so, so all that went down like that. And You know, when I turned 18, man, I really wanted to join the Marine Corps. And my dad talked me out of it. He said, I want you to go to college. I want you to become a businessman. He hated being in the Navy, but you got to remember, this was in the 50s. You know, he was talking about the bunks. He said, you're sleeping in these canvas bunks and the guy's like this close to you on the next bunk. And he said, they're stacked like 15 high. He goes, you go out one night and the guy on the top bunk gets sick. He pukes on all of you. Oh, he hated it. But I would have loved it. I would have loved it because I love the discipline. I love the regimentation. I love the chain of command. I love that you got to be accountable and responsible for yourself. And you've got a mission to accomplish. And our mission is to do or die, not to wonder why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well,
let's talk about this number 22, man, because this is a big number.
So when you hear anybody watching, when you hear the number 22, you know, what does it mean to you?
Well, 22 is a very important number to me, because not only because of the suicide rate for the vets, but that's the number that I wore when I played on a executive flag football team in Florida, in Clearwater, Florida. I was number 22. But the 22 to me signifies something that's 22 too much. The fact that in this country, men and women that served our country volunteered. Nobody was drafted. They volunteered to serve our country. And for us to hear that 22 of them a day are committing suicide because they feel like there's no other options, because they feel like they're out of choices, because they feel like there's nowhere else to go or nothing else to do but to go ahead and just check out. And that's not an option because life is precious. I don't care what religion you are. None of us knows what waits on us on the dark side. Okay, we don't know. Once the lights go out, we do not know. The only people that know are those that have passed before us. So for me, life is for living. I want to be here as long as I can. I want to be here like my pops. He's 87, March 4th. He's going to be 100 years old. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I want to be as old as I can possibly be because life is for living and we don't know what awaits us beyond this. So what we've got to do is we've got to give these men and women that served this country, that paid the sacrifices of giving up a limb or eyesight or hearing or disfigurement or legs, the ability to walk, paralysis, all of that. In my opinion, brother, anybody that gets hurt like that, serving this country, comes home and they don't work another day the rest of their lives. They get a new home, they get a new vehicle, and they're taking care of the rest of their lives. If we can send billions of dollars to the Ukraine to help them fight a war against the psychopath Putin, why are we not spending the billions here in our country and taking care of ours first? That's the question I have for this administration and this government as a whole. And something needs to be done, Rob. Something needs to be done.
Well, you know, we're paying the price. We're paying the price. Actually, the 22 people a day who commit suicide, they're the ones paying the price.
You know it, man. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, if they were taken care of a little bit better, you know, then we wouldn't have this issue. So we're trying to get that number to 0. We're trying to get folks the help that they need. And by you coming on the show here, hopefully we can kind of break the stigma a little bit, get people to feel more comfortable about talking about, because, you know, men don't want to talk about feelings.
No.
You know, if you ask, how you doing? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How you doing? I'm good.
I'm good. And we're far from it, man.
Yeah, because, you know, that's just the norm. Oh, how you doing? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How you doing? Oh, you're good. Yeah, I'm good. Everybody's good. So, but really, motherfuckers are doing bad. You know, they're like, I'm hurting, man. I'm hurting. You know, I'm going through some stuff. You know, my wife left me. My job ain't working out. My check didn't come through. You know, my aunt, she said that she's got, you know, cancer. People don't talk about this stuff, you know, so hopefully, hold on. Chris Shaggy Gonzalez said, yeah, definitely more important issues to be tackled in our country. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and being able to talk about your situations so you can get help. get the help you need, being able to reach out to your friends, and being able to, you know, making sure you get the appropriate needs that you need.
Rob, you kind of hit on something that I think about a lot, and I talk about it with my wife and with my friends. And I think this is what's kind of missing, the sense of community. Okay, the community. Think about where you grew up. Okay, I think about where I grew up, and it was Antioch, Tennessee. Antioch is nothing like it used to be. Okay, it's gone in a different direction. When I grew up there, it was a small country town south of Nashville, and everybody was like farmers. Now it's like the United Nations. You don't, I mean, it's like whoever leaves Antioch when the sun goes down, bring the flag with you, because you just really don't know. I mean, half the people don't even speak English anymore. And so the sense of community that we're missing for our veterans, I think, is a big part of this problem, because everybody's so impersonal. Everybody thinks that the internet is the solution for everything, that social media is the solution for everything. I've got a difference of opinion. I think the smartphone is making people stupid. I think social media is a disease. We know TikTok is a Chinese spy tool. We just had a balloon fly over our country for a fucking week, spying on our military installations. Nothing to see here, just rubber balloon, promise. Oh my God, really? Really? So the sense of community that we're missing, the only reason we found out about that is by some people in Montana that saw it and sent in a picture. If we didn't find out about that, if they didn't have a sense of community, we wouldn't have found out about it. And the United States as a whole doesn't have a sense of community anymore. We do not have a local community where we say, hey, you've got friends here, you've got family here, come, let's go talk about it. It doesn't happen anymore. So a lot of these veterans are on their own trying to figure it out using the internet as their doctor, and that's never a good thing.
You hit it on the nail, brother. Yeah, everybody's busy paying bills over there. It's hard, you know, by the time they don't have time for anything. They're busy working. That's it. Sir. They're married to their job, and their family doesn't come first. It's not like it used to be back in the day. You know, probably like when about that. Parents grew up. Now, families aren't what they used to be. Exactly.
Well, that's a big problem, man. And, you know, Rob, I'm a big proponent of the family because I come from a broken home. But thank God my father was very dedicated to making sure that my brothers and I were raised up properly. You know, he instilled within us a work ethic. He instilled within us a love of country, a love of self, but also fight for your rights and defend yourself. Don't be pushed around by anybody. And, you know, that's the kind of inbuilt things that we're not getting anymore. I just think that really, and I hate to sound like some old fucking, okay, boomer, but I'm just telling you, man, we got a little problem with these smartphones. We got a problem because everywhere I go, I don't give a fuck, dude, if I go to a restaurant. There's a four-top, and as a former bartender, this kills me. When you see four people sitting at a four-top table and they're all doing this, like a monkey with a fucking peanut. Dude, I can't talk to anybody under the age of 30 for less than 20 seconds without them whipping their phone out and pecking on. Hey, I got some news for you, boys. Quit working on your iPhone. Go get a car and work on your car, because nobody ever got laid in the backseat of an iPhone. Trust me.
Yeah.
I turned 16 in 1980. So the 80s were my decade, man. I got my driver's license, and I was like, we're out of here.
Yeah, you better have one of those, a Tesla where you got a smart car instead of a smartphone.
No, man, I'm a combustion engine. They ain't get 2030. They're going to get rid of all combustion engines. Kiss my ass. There's what is there? 1 billion combustion engines on the road? You ain't getting rid of that. This is a sham. Green. Okay, yeah, whatever. You know, the charging stations where they plug their little smart cars into is powered by coal plants. So they need to quit the virtue signaling with their electric cars, because it doesn't impress me much.
Yeah, no, you know what? There ain't nothing like an old gas car, though. I like the smell of gas. There ain't nothing like going to the gas station and fueling up. You know, I'm not really into electric cars. Honestly, it costs more to fix them things than it's worth. And they're way overpriced.
They're way overpriced, Rob. And here's the other thing. We don't have an infrastructure set up for anybody to drive cross country in an electric car. And if you think about it, and you really, really scrutinize it, if they want to get rid of our combustion engines, where you can take a pickup truck, fill up 25-gallon cans of gas, and put them in the back of the truck, and you can go cross country. You do that in an electric car, you're going to go about 150 miles. Your car is going to stop in the middle of nowhere, and you got nowhere to go. This whole thing to me, Rob, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, because all this shit that's been going on in our country for the last 30 years, it's not a theory. It's a conspiracy. The definition of a conspiracy is where two or more people get together to contemplate and plan a crime, and then they execute the crime. Well, we've had crimes going on in this country since the beginning, but especially the last 30 years, and especially since 9/11. And if people aren't aware of this, the Patriot Act was drawn up and presented the day after 9/11. And those kind of things are not developed in one day. It takes months and years to develop that. If anybody doesn't think 9/11 was an inside job, they're delusional, and they need to turn their TV off and do some independent free thinking and research this shit for yourself, because this is a giant fucking scam. You know, I've noticed, and Rob, I don't mean to go off on a political tangent, but I've been censoring myself on Facebook because I got tired of getting thrown in jail. When I speak the truth and speak my mind, and they want to throw me in jail. So I've stopped doing that for the most part. But we just had a Chinese spy balloon fly over this country. Could have shot it down over the Aleutian Islands. Could have shot it down over Alaska. Fuck, we could have shot it down over Canada. We could have shot it down over eastern Montana, where nobody exists. There's nothing. We might have killed a bear, maybe. But no, mission completed. And then I guarantee you tonight, Joe Robinette Biden, not my president, will stand up there tonight, and he's going to say, and we shot it down. And everybody's going to stand up like a bunch of buffoons and, yeah, it's so wonderful. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen tonight at the State of the Union address. I'm going to be watching just for the comedy of it, because this guy and the Democrats, all politicians, but especially the left, they freaking lie. And the only way you can tell if they're telling the truth is their lips are not moving.
Yeah. You know what? That's what they said. They said it's not good. Hey, everything that's going on right now is not good, man. We're trying to get things right. Hopefully with it being a new year, we can try to and get together like this. Maybe we can try to change a little bit.
Not try. We got to change, man. This country cannot continue on the path it's on. I mean, 80% of America right now is not happy with the direction we're headed in. I watched this guy go up there and give a fucking statement, not a speech, a statement, because he's reading it. And then they start asking questions. And he shuffles off like an old demented person at a fucking nursing home. This is what the world is seeing. That's why China said, fuck them, we'll send a balloon over there. They ain't going to do shit. Because Hunter and Joe Robinette are in our hip pocket. And you know what? If anybody don't believe that, you're a fucking fool. Wake the hell up. They're so scared of Trump because Trump was going to kick everybody's ass. He was going to literally drain the swamp. Everybody on Capitol Hill, Rob, and you know this, everybody up there is corrupt. You cannot become a billionaire making $175,000 a year living the lifestyle of a rock star. But Nancy Pelosi and hundreds of other members of Congress and the Senate have managed to do just that on our dime, on our money. And what is their solution to it? Print more money. I don't know if you saw it, but recently they were talking about printing a $1 trillion coin. Did you see that?
Wow.
Yeah, dude. They were talking about printing a $1 trillion coin so we could apply that toward our $35 trillion debt. I was like, well, fuck, if you're going to print one, print 35. Let's be debt free. A coin worth $1 trillion. Give me a break, man. Listen, common sense and logic have gone out the window. If everybody used common sense and logic, shut their fucking phone off for a fucking day. Quit listening to the mainstream media. Quit listening to the bullshit posted that's fake news on your social media, on your phone. Do some independent research and form your own opinions for yourself, because this situation we're in cannot continue this way. And just like with our veterans, man, this is still a volunteer army. It's still a volunteer military. I don't mean to say army. Marines, Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force, all of that. What is happening right now is discouraging anybody from wanting to be a part of the military. And the military is a great way for young people to start, especially in this world. There's so many young people that have no idea what they want to do with their life. They really don't. So I tell the young people in my family, because my wife and I don't have any children, but we both come from large families, and there's a lot of children in our family. And so we're the cool aunt and uncle. And I tell them, I said, listen, you got a rich Uncle Joe that wants to help you out with college. And it ain't Uncle Joe. It's Uncle Sam. You got a rich uncle. I think, and Rob, I'm going to tell you right now, here's what I think, man, because
go ahead.
All of the situations we have with single parent households and all that stuff, I think that when a boy or girl becomes 18 years old, 2 years to your military service, okay? I think that if at 18 they went and served 2 years, got out after 2 years and had some college money, I think we would make a massive impact on the extreme levels of violence we have among the youth community. I think would have a massive impact on everything that's good about America, because it would teach these children discipline. It would teach them respect authority, chain of command. Instead of being 17, 18 years old, and I see them on YouTube and shit all the time, talking to their parents. I'm going to tell you right now, if I'd have popped off the way these kids pop off their parents, you wouldn't be meeting me, because my dad would have fucking killed me. He'd have wiped me out. And children are children for a goddamn reason. Just because you can sit on the internet and find an answer to anything that may or may not be accurate doesn't make you an expert on anything. You got to live a little bit, and you got to put yourself through some trials and tribulations before you can sit back and start spouting off about how experienced and knowledgeable you are about the way the world works. Because I'm almost 60, and I've been through hell and back, and I ain't quitting. I keep swinging and never surrender through my whole life. That's my motto. That's my fighter's motto. This life is tough. Only the strong survive, and you better be ready to fight for everything that you need. And if you're not willing to fight, be willing to be a subject. And I'm not made of that. That's not for me. I mean, not at all. We've got a lot of ammunition and a lot of weapons in this household. So does my dad. So does my brother. And if they want to start something, they I just think it looks like a planned invasion, brother. They circumvented Canada and us, and they came up through Latin America, which nobody's talking about. You notice that? There was a balloon in Latin America. Nobody talked about that. I don't know, man. Just my dad always told me, he said, son, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and be the best self you can be every day. Worked for me for 59 years, so let's keep going.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Get some good advice from your dad, brother.
And yeah. I tell him all the time, I say, Pop, he's like an angel on my shoulder. He talks to me all the time, man. Everything he ever told me, I remember it. And he's right here with me. Lives 10 minutes from me.
There ain't nothing like that. There ain't nothing like being with your dad, man. My dad, he was Navy too, so we got a lot in common. We're both our dads are Navy.
Why'd your dad join the Navy?
Well, you know what? My dad, I'm telling you, he comes from pretty much right outside Detroit. So he comes from a rough neighborhood, you know what I mean? And he had his family, they weren't, I mean, he was a mechanic at a young age. He was working on cars, man, maybe since like 13. And but when he turned 18, he signed right up for the military because he had to survive. He had to get out the house. He wanted to be independent. And he didn't want to be a mechanic no more. Right out there near Detroit. So he wanted to travel the world and I guess ride on a boat. So that's what he did.
My dad joined the Navy for the same reasons, man. He was working at Piggly Wiggly. Like I said, his parents were alcoholics and degenerate gamblers, even though they were very successful musicians. So he was living on his own when he was 15. And he graduated high school from Father Ryan as a state champion golfer. And he basically was starving to death, and he married my mother, and he joined the Navy. And the reason he joined the Navy, this is the one reason he joined. He said he heard they had the best food. That's why he joined.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was out to sea for 53 days. He never saw land, and he was miserable. I got all this from the letters that I read that my mother shared with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris Shaggy Gonzalez again, the fighter. He said, great shoe, guys. Joe worked up a sweat talking about the important stuff.
Man, that's right.
So Chris Shaggy, he knows you pretty good, huh? Oh, Chris Shaggy says, again, great show, guys. Oh, same thing. But hey, we appreciate you, Chris Shaggy, and we look forward to getting a clip from your fight and taking that W home for Rock Solid Combat Sports and the rest of the.
He'll be fighting two weeks from Thursday. This Thursday, 2 weeks from this Thursday. We're going to probably be flying out either Monday or Tuesday in 2 weeks, and we're going to go down there and we're gonna make a statement. Whoa! Look out! Earthquake! Sorry. Yeah, we're going to make a statement, man. And this kid trains himself, man. I'm getting right now hooked up with some sparring, getting hooked up with another fighter I have down in Tampa, Brian Fryer, who's about to make his pro boxing debut March 18th in Tampa, Florida. Then we're transitioning him straight over to bare knuckle. And so I've got him working with him. The thing is, for a lot of these guys, man, I was telling you about the reluctant warrior scenario earlier. The guys that really, really want it, that really want to do it, those are the guys that I'm looking for. The guys that are world-class fighters that are looking to prove themselves. That's what I'm looking for. But give me an average fighter that has the work ethic, that has the drive and desire, and has that discipline and dedication with himself. Give me an average guy that wants to work hard over a very talented and skillful prima donna who doesn't have a work ethic, because I've been through that several times in my career managing fighters. And I would rather have the average guy that's got a work ethic that will blow your mind, that's willing to go in there and lay it on the line every fight. And that's what I'm working with Chris. I'm working with Brian. And these guys are going to make themselves better because iron sharpens iron. And they're both rock solid fighters. You hear me, Chris? Yep. You hear me, Chris Shaggy Gonzalez? You're gonna go out there to Palm Springs. You're gonna mess up their apple cart. The young boy coming from Mexico, national amateur champion or something, whatever, man. Chris Gonzalez is a grown ass man, and he can fight, and he's tough, and he's strong. And we're going to show everybody what's up come February 23rd.
What is it, a weight class or?
Yeah, in boxing, yeah. We were supposed to fight at 147. Then when we made the fight, they contacted me, wanted to make it 150, which tells me their fighter is either overweight or they just tried to trick us into going bigger. Chris can fight anywhere from 135 to 155, so it doesn't matter to us. I mean, he's always in shape. The kid works out 7 days a week. So when I contacted him and told him about the opportunity, he said, let's do it. I just want to stay busy. And win, lose, or draw, at least we're getting him more experience, more time in the ring, more time in the combat arena. So when we go back to bare knuckle, it feels even easier when you take those bitch mittens off and you crack them with your bare knuckles.
So he's bare knuckle fighting then. He's pretty much street fighting.
I lost the last part from you, man. You broke up a little bit.
Yeah, so he'll be bare knuckle fighting down there then in Palm Springs.
No. The fight in Palm Springs is glove because they haven't legalized bare knuckle. I'm just keeping my guy busy. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. We got to keep going. This is a very short opportunity here. This isn't like, you see fighters fight for 15 or 20 years. Bare knuckle is a 3 to 5 year. Make your name, get your championship. Hopefully you built a name for yourself and you can transition into broadcasting, doing fight analysis, doing a commentating, doing ring announcing, doing consulting behind the scenes with the production of the shows. There's a lot of opportunities for fighters beyond the fight. And that's what we're trying to do at Rock Solid Combat Sports, is we're trying to make opportunities for fighters once the fighting is over, that you can transition yourself into a situation where you can stay in the sport that you love and still make some money out of it. And anybody getting into bare knuckle, and this is a public service announcement, anybody getting into bare knuckle thinking you're going to get rich like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Floyd Mayweather Jr., it ain't going to happen. Bare knuckle fighting, okay? It's not boxing. They call it boxing. It's not boxing. This is a fight. There's a difference between glove boxing and bare knuckle fighting. And the difference is intrinsic because there's a big difference in getting punched with this than getting punched with the 12-ounce glove. And bare knuckle fighting is the truth, because bare knuckle, the fight's in quicker. You don't prolong a beating. You know, and you might not know, and you might not be a boxing fan, but Vladimir Klitschko, he held the title almost as long as Joe Louis. He held it for almost 10 years. 6'6", 245 pounds. He looked like Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. He was a reluctant warrior. He really did not like fighting, but he was really good at it. He got knocked out twice with one punch. Boom, bye-bye. He hired Emanuel Stewart. Emanuel Stewart made him into a boxer, and he held the title for a very long time. And my brother Tommy, who is 6'3", about 285 pounds, powerlifter, he's a big boy. He called me up and he says, JoJo, that's what my family calls me. I hated it when I was a kid, but I love it when I'm grown. He said, JoJo, why is this guy 6'6", 250 pounds? Why are his fights going the distance every time? I said, because he really don't like to fight, and he's got a chin problem, so he's boxing instead of fighting. And so Vladimir Klitschko held that title for 10 years, and most people can't even tell you his name. His brother Vitale also held the title, and most people can't even tell you about that. So that, for me, explains, like Vitale Klitschko, his fight should have been over in 2 or 3 rounds. Heavyweight guys should not go 12 3-minute rounds. It shouldn't go that long in a fight. And that's what bare knuckle brings. We got a little dirty boxing where you can hook the opponent and you can hold him and hit him. That brings a little bit of the London prize fighting rules into what we do with bare knuckle. And I got news for people. Bare knuckle's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. The slap fighting thing, not sure about that. We'll see. I'm not a fan of anything where somebody hits you and you don't immediately get to hit them back. I don't like to stand there and let somebody hit me, and you stand there and I hit you back. I'm not down with it. Hey, John Birdsong. Is that Birdsong? Is that my boy Johnny? Who's that? No, that's not Birdsong. I'm sorry. You're freezing up on me, bro. I thought you.
That's our mom.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, the slap fighting is funny.
It is, man. And, you know, I got to say, when that whole thing went down with Dana White on New Year's Eve where he slapped she slapped him, then he slapped her back, and then he grabbed her arm. I was like, oh, this is total promo, man. Because he's already said there's no coming back from a fighter hitting his wife. You can't strike a woman. You're done after that. And I was like, this is a setup. 1 week before Slap Fight comes out and he slaps his wife in Cabo on the dance floor. I mean, she hit him first, but still, I don't know, man. And they had like 300,000 viewers for Pro Slap. Me personally, as a true combat fighter, as a true fighter, as a true bare knuckle, let's get up and get down, I'm not a fan of it. And I wish them all luck, but I think they're inviting CTEs because they got these big 300-pound powerlifters with hands the size of a canned ham, and they're going to go in there and slap the fuck out of somebody who has to stand there, stick their chin out and take it. That's not my form of fighting. For me, it's not for me. It might be for other people. It might be for casuals that sit on their couch and go, oh, yeah, this is what he should have done to win that fight. Yeah, whatever, dude. You never been in a fight in your life and since the last time you got your ass kicked in the sandbox when you were in the fucking first grade. But other than that, they're experts about the fight game.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy for doing that slap boxing. That's crazy. That's gonna hurt somebody. That's gonna hurt somebody. The slap boxing, believe it or not. And all them people doing that stuff, they're not gonna get they're not gonna get any medical for that.
No, dude, they got to sign their life away to compete. They have got to sign their life away to compete. They can't sue. They can't go after anything. So, hey, good luck to them. They want to call it a sport. That's not a sport to me. It's not a sport. It's not a sport where you take a turn and then you wait for your opponent to take a turn. That's a pastime. So good luck to them. I wish them all the best. But if you really want to find out who the tough guy is, come on over to bare knuckle and we'll find out what's up real quick. Instead of slapping a bitch, you can come in and get punched in the mouth back and see what happens after that. And if you slappers don't like it, come see me. Because I slap with my fist, not with my open hand. I slap like that.
Yeah, but you could. I think some people slap with their fist almost, like their palm, the end of their palm. Some of them slaps aren't legal. I don't know how they're going to regulate a legal slap and an illegal slap. Because some of them are really hard.
I was on Planet Hank. Well, I wasn't on Planet Hank. I was commenting on Planet Hank a few days ago, And they had a couple of slap boxers on there. And, I told them, I said, listen, power slap is like a joke without a punchline. Okay. Tell this big, long, elaborate joke and then nothing happens. For me, slapping is that's what bitches do. Okay. A bitch slaps. If you're a bitch, then step up and slap somebody. If you want to fight them, come on over to bare knuckle. So with these guys, when we were on there and we were talking about it, they were saying that that's why they use the talc. They put their hands in the talc powder. So when they slap, they can make sure it hits you here. It can't hit you here in the temple, can't hit you in the ear. And when this shit was going on in Russia, there was this great big bearded Russian dude. And brother Rob, he was knocking guys out. So I slowed it down, put it on slow-mo. Dude, he was hitting them with this part right here, looking like he was slapping them. Like if I was going to slap this mug right here, he wasn't slapping them like this. He was slapping them like this and catching them with his wrist right here by their jaw. Okay. So he was like really, and dude was like 400 pounds and he was knocking guys out. Well, they've eliminated that problem by putting the talc on so you can see where the slap lands. It's got to land in a designated area. It can't be up here, can't be over here, and you can't hit like this. It's got to be a flat hand. But still, some of these guys that are getting this are so freaking big. I mean, 350-pound powerlifters. These guys are massive. Their heads look like they're bolted. Their trapezius are this big, and their heads are bolted to their body. I don't know what the fuck you're going to do when you slap that guy. You need to throw a body shot and hook him to the liver. I lost your sound. I don't have any sound, brother.
You remember the punching bags they had at the bars, right?
Yeah, bad idea.
They're just a human punching bag. That's all they are, a human slap bag. It's too dangerous. They should just get a machine and let these people slap a machine and see who slaps the hardest. Because for 1K, because for 1K, that's not worth it. Them guys are getting knocked unconscious. You see them? I mean, they're like knocked unconscious.
It's not good, brother. It's not good. I mean, I don't know anybody that wants to stand. I don't know a grown man that wants to stand there and get hit in the face and just stand there with your chin out and take it. I mean, it's just not for me. I wish them all the best, though. But we got enough carnival circus out there. Let's keep combat sports open for the real athletes. And if these flappers don't like it, come on over to bare knuckle and get punched in the mouth. It's that simple.
Because it's
Oh man, Chris, I lost you, brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's all about, you don't want to go in there and just get slapped for nothing. Not for 1K. At least go in and have a real fight, with your hands, bare knuckle, with the gloves. So so tell me about combat sports, man. What's your main guys' focus over there? What are you guys training and stuff?
We're training pro boxing, pro MMA, and bare knuckle fighting, but our focus is bare knuckle fighting. But you don't start in bare knuckle, okay? Bare knuckle fighting, BYB Extreme Fighting Series, Mike Vasquez and Mel Valenzuela and Greg Bloom. I've been working with those guys for a couple of years. They're an outstanding organization. BYB, a lot of people don't know this, stands for Backyard Brawls. When Donna 5000 started it, and he's the one that came up with the Trigon, quite honestly, I'm going to tell you, the first time I heard about the Trigon, I thought gimmick. They're just trying to match the octagon. Then I went to our first event in May of, I think it was 2021, with Mike Vasquez's group. And I brought a heavyweight down there. We won knockout of the night that night. When I saw the Trigon in person and got up in it as a former fighter, it gave me chills, dude. I was like, oh, this is where you want to be. It's like fighting in your living room. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. And you don't want to get caught in one of those corners because they're 60 degrees. They're not 45 like a regular corner. They're 60-degree corners. And if you get trapped in there, it's a death corner. You got two moves to make. You got to go forward or you're going to go down. That's it. So we're focused on bare knuckle, but we fight MMA and we fight glove boxing. But bare knuckle is for experienced fighters, and a lot of the fighters that are doing extremely well, Rob, in bare knuckle are former UFC, Pride, and MMA fighters. Because, let's face it, a fighter's got to have a little bit loose up here. It's not a normal thing. It's not like going and playing checkers with your grandfather. We're talking about, hey, let's go fight. We beat the shit out of each other, and after it's over, we're good. So with bare knuckle, this is where the best of the best end up. They're trying to say it's where fighters end up and where they go to die, but that's not the truth. The truth is you got to be a seasoned professional fighter to be in that trigon to fight bare knuckle. And if you're not, you're going to get exposed very quickly. There have been pro boxers come over to bare knuckle, and they haven't done extremely well, whereas the MMA fighters have done well. So what we're trying to develop is a hybrid fighter, guys that do bare knuckle, guys that do boxing, and guys that do MMA, and focus on the stand-up aspects of the bare knuckle and learning that dirty boxing where you clinch and hit, which they don't allow in pro boxing, but they do allow in bare knuckle, which is part of the London prize fight rules. So, with my guys, we're just wanting to be a part of this wave before it hits the shore. This is a big wave, and it hasn't hit the shore yet. And when the UFC started, brother, everybody said they'd never get it approved, and they did, and they did.
Yeah, because the UFC's only been around for a little while.
93.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Everything.
They 26 years, actually. Or it was, 93. No, not 26 years, 30 years. And they, they did their first show in Denver, and where they were able to get it approved is, if you remember when it first started, there were no rules, no weight classes, no rounds. You fought, and the very, very first, before it was the UFC, the very, very first champion they ever had was Royce Gracie. But the very first recognized UFC champion is Mark Coleman, a good friend of mine. He's the first UFC champion.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing right there. Yeah. Yeah, everything's always changing when it comes to entertainment and stuff. But we needed more platforms. We need more platforms for, like, look how many people wrestle in high school and college. And then, they needed more platforms besides, like, the WWF, WWE. So the UFC kind of fit the shoe for a lot of wrestlers. What do you think about that?
Oh, it most certainly did, man. And you hit on something, Rob. My old boxing coach, Donnie Broadway, when I fought for the Police Athletic League back in the 80s, he told me, because he was a 3-time national Golden Gloves champion, and he ended up becoming a police officer because there was no money for a 118-pound fighter back in the 60s. There just wasn't any money. So he became a police officer, and he was the head boxing coach at the Police Athletic League for the Nashville Police Department over on Douglas Avenue. And what he was expressing to me, because he's like a second father to me. My father and he were very good friends, and he and I became very good friends. He was, my head boxing coach, and spent a lot of years with him, and he taught me something that I'll never lose, and that's how to fight and how to throw a good right hand. So he was telling me that back when he was in school, back in the 50s, he said that we had boxing in school. And that if there was a beef at the school, you'd come down to the gymnasium after school, we'd glove you up, and they'd ring the bell, and most guys couldn't go one round because 3 minutes of getting hit and hitting the guy will exhaust you. And so he did a study for 10 years, a direct correlation between the removal of boxing, because the geniuses in our government removed boxing from the school because it was too violent, which accompanied the rise of gang violence and guns and knives. So when you allow guys, men, young men, especially when we hit 15, 16 and all this testosterone starts coursing through our veins, if you give them an outlet to express themselves and then get over it, it's a very good situation. But the government that we have and the people that view this as a barbaric sport, and maybe it is, but I got news for people. We live in a barbaric fucking world. And if you ain't ready to fight and defend yourself, and you're going to get eat up and spit out so quick, it'll make your head spin. I'm compassionate, but I'm also very realist. And I'm prepared for anything at any given time. And I'd rather hope for the best and prepare for the worst than to be caught with my pants down and wishing I had an opportunity to prove myself.
Yeah, but don't we train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu though, right? That's part of the military thing, right?
I think jiu-jitsu, I tell people all the time, man, first and foremost, I think all boys need to know how to throw a 1-2. Okay, you need to throw out 1-2. But I tell young people, and I tell especially women all the time, take jiu-jitsu. I don't give a fuck what the size difference is. In jiu-jitsu, you're one move away from being able to submit your opponent. Either choke them out, arm bar them, make them want to quit. So jiu-jitsu is a big part of it, and that's, Shannon the Cannon Rich I was telling you about, 8-time MMA world champion. He's a 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. He has his own dojo in Glendale, Arizona, just north of Phoenix, the Cannon BJJ. So BJJ, which I never took, I wrestled 1 year in high school and ended up almost starting a riot at Glencliff. So I didn't wrestle anymore after that because you can't punch guys when you wrestle. But yeah, what you said, man, the wrestling, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the stand-up boxing, that's why we've got a hybrid sport and we've got hybrid combatants. And I'm a big believer in it. And it's a great way to release stress. It's a great way to get frustration out of your body. And it's also a great way for physical fitness and great confidence so you can defend yourself if you find yourself in a dangerous situation on the streets.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Well, what are we going to do about the suicide thing, man? I'd like to brainstorm some ideas. Like, I was reading, or I might have heard on the news that they're somewhere in California or something. They're wanting to put like this homeless community together where they make, I don't know, apartments or houses or little small houses for these homeless people just to give it to them because their whole life goes, they're homeless. Now, some people don't choose to be homeless, but I'm going to tell you right now, my brother's a retired firefighter, paramedic, swiftwater rescue, hazardous materials guy for 36 years with the fire department. And they made runs to where they're picking people up. And he said a lot of these people that are begging on the side of the road, they choose to do it because they make a couple $100 a day. So I learned the hard way about giving a hobo or somebody some money. I was 18 years old going to Nashville State Tech, and this guy was begging for money, and I was young and dumb, rolled my window down on my 66 Chevy too, and I gave him $5. I said, brother, I would take you to get something to eat, but I'm going to give you this. I got out of class 3 hours later. Guess what happened? He's in the middle of the damn road, drunk, dancing, directing traffic. And I was like, what the hell? What the hell? So,
hey, Joe Mack, man, listen. Let's can we get together and do this? Maybe when's the next time you're going to be available?
You tell me what you need, man. I'll adjust my schedule on my business so I'm the boss, so I can make it happen.
Okay, let's try to go live again. Maybe in like 2 weeks.
2 weeks sounds good to me, man. Shoot me a message, and I'll put it on my calendar. But I think that what I was wanting to hit on, Rob, is that we're talking about they're wanting to make a homeless encampment and give these people small houses. Their greatest accomplishment is they didn't overdose when they shot up last time. That's their greatest accomplishment. I say we do that for our veterans. Get them a way to re-enter society with some dignity, with some class, without feeling like they're a detriment to where 22 of our men and women that serve this country are killing themselves every day. That's not acceptable, and we got to do something as patriots, as Americans, you and I, and everybody listening, and everybody that's not listening. We got to do something to help our people. And that's not racist. That's not anything but just wanting to help our people that served our country, that kept our freedom. And we owe them a debt of gratitude, especially those that are injured.
Joe Mack, man, we appreciate you. And we got to tune off real fast because we're about to hit that 1 hour mark for the 1 hour for the show. But we love you. Much love and respect. And we will be back with you in 2 weeks, brother.
My man, thank you so much, Rob. I love you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing. I love talking with you. Hit me up anytime, and let's do this. And Chris Shaggy Gonzalez is going to go out to California and score a KO, baby.
Hey, knock him out. And you guys heard it today. You heard it today from Mack, Joe Mack, the original Joe Mack from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you, brother.
Solid, baby.
And hey, I salute you and your family, man, and your dad. So
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you,
all
brother.
right. All right, brother.
God bless America.
Hey, God bless you.